the last few years, I've had the pleasure of visiting Sri Lanka multiple times, and it's honestly one of my favorite countries in the world. And for me, it's easy to see why. Here are my 9 reasons to add Sri Lanka to your list. Number 1, the people. The Sri Lankan people are some of the friendliest and most welcoming people I've ever come across. Besides always greeting you with a smile, they will actively go out of their way to make you feel at home and try to help you if you're ever in need. This has been my experience every time I've been. For example, we were in the middle of a village in the north of Sri Lanka and got invited into a local family's house to have lunch with them. We didn't even speak the same language, but it was all smiles and offering for us to eat more. We tried to help with the cooking, but clearly they knew what they were doing. Number 2. The food. I said it once, but I'll say it 100 times. I love Sri Lankan food. Rice and curry is amazing. Sri Lankan cuisine is one of my absolute favourites from my travels so far. The blend of spices in a rice curry is something you just have to try. And by the way, it's different wherever you are in the country, so make sure to try it in more than one place. The food also has influences from some of the most delicious places from all around the world, including India, Indonesia, Netherlands, and Southeast Asia. Number 3. The beaches. If you've seen anything about Sri Lanka before, then you've probably seen images of their beautiful white sand beaches. Well, I can tell you that seeing them in reality will definitely not disappoint you. Sometimes it's hard for places to live up to your expectations after those perfect photos you see on social media, but in Sri Lanka, that's not the case. You can walk along relatively untouched beaches, jump into the Indian Ocean, and just 100 yards away there'll be a group of sea turtles you can swim with. For example, in Marissa, each time I went out for a morning swim, I'd be joined by a sea turtle. Just make sure to get out for sunrise for the best chance and the least people around too. Number 4. The wildlife. One thing you may not know about Sri Lanka is that there are nature reserves all around the island, which are home to elephants, leopards, wild boars, sloth bears, buffalo, crocodiles, thousands of tropical birds, and much more. There are currently estimated to be over 5,800 wild elephants roaming about, and there is also the biggest concentration of leopards in the world. The parks are inexpensive, fairly accessible from wherever you're staying, and a lot of them can also be done on a day trip. For example, Udawalawe is home to hundreds of elephants, and you're pretty much guaranteed to see a family roaming through the reserve at sunrise. Then in the afternoon, you can either stay in a tent or be back to your hotel, ready to chill. Number 5, the tea plantations. No trip to Sri Lanka would be complete without getting into the central area and experiencing the epic tea plantations, such as Elarok and Nuwara Eliya. There is lush greenery absolutely everywhere that you can walk around at your own leisure, or you can also take a guided tour and sample some of the tea as well. One experience not to miss is the hike and view up to the top of Mini Adams Peak, where you can see for miles all around you. So how do you get to the central area? Well, that brings me to number 6, the trains. Sri Lanka has some of the most scenic, if not the most scenic train journeys in the world. The journey going from Kandy to Ella is particularly beautiful and relatively inexpensive. Book a seat beforehand and look out the window as some of the most epic scenery in Sri Lanka rolls on past you. Likely you would have also seen some photos of people hanging out of these trains, and while I did it to get these shots, it's not recommended and you could easily get hurt. Just be careful. Don't risk it all for that one Instagram shot.
This whole journey is epic. Keep leaning out to see like everything, but occasionally you just have to duck your head in.
Number 7. The surfing. This is a huge reason that people travel to Sri Lanka, and it has some of the best beginner and advanced surfing in the world. In fact, it's actually the first place I learned to surf. And I say learned, I stood up. I'm still not the best surfer, and so I can't pretend to know what I'm talking about. But I know that there are surf beaches here to cater for every ability level. If you've never tried it before, then just give it a go, and afterwards, if it's not your thing, then you can just chill on the beach with a cool king coconut. Number 8, the culture. Sri Lanka has a rich culture and history to learn about, with influences from all over the world. If you're looking to learn more about the country and its people, then make sure to check out the Dutch colonial town of Galle, the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy, or the northern town of Jaffna, which was up until very recently quite difficult to access for foreigners. There is definitely more to Sri Lanka than meets the eye, more than just the beautiful beaches and wildlife. If you have any questions about Sri Lanka's culture and history, then make sure to ask a local person. They will be more than happy to tell you. Number 9. The epic landmarks. There are 2 must-see landmarks in Sri Lanka in my opinion. The first one is Sigiriya, or Lion Rock, which is home to an ancient rock fortress and is truly impressive to see and climb up. And the second is Adams Peak, an epic climb that most Sri Lankans will complete in their lifetime. They both have their own individual wow factor, and you'll just have to get up there and see why for yourself. Now, if I had to choose any of these points to really emphasize, then it would have to be the people. I can't say enough how welcome I've felt every time I've been there, and it's one of the main reasons that I'm sure I'll be back time and time again.